Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups, situationships, and relationships. And today we're going to get into no contact. Can I send a birthday message or a happy birthday message? Which is a really, 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 really common question. So if you're coming up with that one, you think, what do I do? There's a lot of other people that have that question. I would say in the 6-7 years I've been doing this, it's probably the top 5 question. I think what it is it's a conflict, right? It's incongruent in your mind. I'm in no contact. I never want to talk to them again, but I do want to talk to them again. But wait a minute, it's their birthday. It's a special occasion. This is a reason that I could maybe drop the no contact for a little bit to show some heart, to care, right? So your mind gets a little bit twisted on this. It's like, but the reality is you're looking for a reason to contact them. Okay. So like you think like, oh, I'm doing this for them. Most of the things, I would say almost everything we do in some way, even when we do something for someone else that we find sweet, kind, or I don't know, empathetic, it's for you too. It's just always how it is. Now, on the other end of that, you're in no contact for a reason. They broke up with you, negotiations are off, you disagreed, you agreed to disagree, whatever you want to say. Okay. The context of the breakup counts. So when you ask this question on a Reddit post, or you ask this question in a comment, and you have no context to what your relationship was like, the breakup was like, what they are, or who they are, or where they're at in life, then you're just going to get a question that doesn't apply to you, or an answer that doesn't apply to you. Think about that for a minute. So getting into this a little deeper, can I break no contact with a birthday call or card? Yes. Short answer is yes. No one's going to hurt you. You're not going to go to jail. You're not breaking any laws. So this idea that's like, oh my God, can I do it? Yeah, of course you can. You have choice in that. So number two, what's your intentions? What are you hoping for on this expedition? And like, what do you really want? Oh, I just want to wish them a happy birthday. Really? So if you just wanted to wish them a happy birthday, right? Well, then you would just send the card because it's just a happy birthday. The fact that you're asking, debating, means that it's more than just saying happy birthday. Means that if you do this, you feel like it's a step that should have a certain reaction. And people, when they ask me this, they'll always say, "Oh, I mean, I just want to send them a happy birthday. How should I do this?" It's okay. But what do you want back? Because if you sent me a happy birthday, I'm your coach, I'm your friend, I'm a relative, you wouldn't think like, "Oh, how's Mac gonna react when I send this card?" You just send it or you wouldn't send it. So what's your intentions? If you have an inkling of, well, I mean, hopefully we'll start talking again, or hopefully they'll find it in their heart to um, take me back, or this will open a door. That's possible. It's possible. Maybe it's best case scenario, which is the next part. What is the best case scenario? Oh, well, I don't care. I just want to let them know that I'm thinking of them on their birthday. Okay. So why are you having so much trouble sending the card or the text? Can you handle, number 4, can you handle a cold response? Can you handle if they come back at you with thank you? Hope you've been well. All is well. Or they just say thanks. Thanks is a lot less than thank you, isn't it? Those are the possibilities, right? Or they maybe not respond. In most cases, they'll probably just say thank you. Or they might be nasty. Oh, you never cared about me. Oh, this or that. There's a lot of different possibilities. What you want to know is like, what's my intention here? Now, a lot of times when we unpack this, so someone comes to me with this specific question, I'll unpack it. All right, what is it that you want? What are you hoping for? What do you mean? I just want to send them happy birthday. Not really. But you won't be asking me. So what's the best case scenario? Then they think about it. Do you even think that's possible? What's the odds you think that's possible? I don't know. Maybe. So this is the best question to ask too. What kind of person are they? Are they the kind of person that appreciates a birthday card or text? That would be number one because some people could care less. Some people, it's not a big deal. Some people are really popular and have, I don't know, 100 people sending them happy birthdays, right? So what kind of person are they? Number 6, where are they at in life as an individual? So this is a really good question. If you're gonna send a happy birthday and they're married or they're with someone else and you're hoping to get their attention, what are you doing? If you're sending them a happy birthday because you genuinely just care and it's a special day, fine. If you somehow think that it's gonna change them as an individual at where they're at in life, probably not. Probably not. So those are the things that you go through. And I would add to this, if you're in a position where you're nervous about sending happy birthday, you're probably not ready for the cold response possibility. You probably know that that person isn't going to necessarily jump and suddenly fall into your arms and be with you forever, right? Okay, so if you're in no contact, you got to know your reasons. And then the reason that you're breaking it, and this is what people do a lot. They go, "Well, I'm going to do it because it's something good for them." It's like I'm doing this out of my heart. I'm doing this as a kind act. Not really. What you're doing is you're looking for some kind of way out of the maze of no contact, out of that part of your mind that's going, how can we start talking again? What works? What gets their attention? And if you're honest with yourself and you know them better than I do, you already know what's the most likely response, and that's what's holding you back. And if it's most likely a cold response or uncaring or non interested in revamping a relationship, then I would say don't send it. Wait till next year, wait till Christmas, wait till another holiday, put it on put it on the shelf because you're just not ready. All right, let's get into some Reddit questions that are on the board here. Add this in. Put this up here. That actually might be the best way to show it, huh? Is that how we got it? Got it. Okay. Anyone on deck right now, if you have any relationship questions, you want to put them in the comments, I'll get to them in a moment. And why I'm reading these comments and questions about relationships because this is what adds up to breakups. Okay. Also, if you don't fix these problems or come to an agreement, just builds up resentment, boils the water, and your relationship gets progressively worse rather than better and better, or even just good. And so these are the things where people get stuck on a problem. In this particular case, they go to an avenue like Reddit, which is a great avenue, and ask for people's comments and suggestions. So, in giving mine, doesn't mean you're right or wrong, but what you're looking for is you're locked in on something that you don't think has another answer, possibility, or alternative. And so it's good because it might open up your mind. And if you're really looking at this in the right way, when you post a question like this and you're asking for the peanut gallery and the people in the cheap seats for their opinion, you got to have a thick skin. You also need to say to yourself, one of the good things about getting answers and ideas about a question you have, especially about a relationship thing that's really important to you, you got to keep in mind that um, even though you get a bad answer or an answer you don't like, hopefully that answer tells you, well, I don't like that. So I think so it gets your mind turning to alternatives and ideas that are outside of what you've been stuck on. Because a lot of times what happens when you're stuck is you think there's only one answer. You think that there's only one possibility, when in reality it's infinite and you're just looking at it the wrong way. So even if you get an answer for someone and you don't agree with it or they don't the answer kind of you're like, "No." Hopefully your mind goes, "All right, well, what's the alternative?" And now the wheel's turning. So let's pull this up. Let's pull this up. Yeah, that's better, huh? Maybe this one's too long. But this is actually a very good topic about money. He bought a boat. I'm raging mad over it. How do I explain my reasoning? Okay. So this is a great point. They're in their 30s. Doesn't say if she's married or not. But the bottom line is this is a big problem, right? So let's just say that this problem doesn't get addressed and she's just mad over it. The boat's already bought. You can't return the boat like a shirt to a clothing store, right? This isn't Amazon or anything like that. He's bought it. It's done. You're gonna have to deal with it. You're gonna have to figure it out. You have to confront the situation. If you're raging mad, you need some time to process the situation probably alone before you confront it and do something crazy. If someone makes you raging mad, don't address the situation until you calm down a little bit. Emotions when they're high is not a good place to make big time decisions or confront people when you're pissed. So let's see. Because a lot of you are going off of assumptions the house is in his name only because we aren't married, and to eliminate the horror stories of buying a home with a girlfriend, boyfriend in the event of the split. We both own other properties. I own my home and he has a rental. We don't want to combine assets until we are married to avoid confusion. So right off the bat, this is your relationship is very sensitive towards your assets and your money and the things that you own. There's not a problem for that, but that's what you're basing a lot of things on that, right? He can afford the mortgage on this house while I pay mine until I get a renter. Everything, I mean, all furniture in this 4 bedroom, 4 bath is mine. So he would literally be house poor if I took it all. The purpose of the house is the future. To start with, we've been dating over 4 years. We just bought a house big enough for a future family. We are not engaged. We are simply boyfriend and girlfriend. I'd like to get married and start on kids before my eggs are fried. Therefore, we've discussed and agreed on expectations. Our finances are separate until marriage. So he pays the bills right now because the home is in his name until marriage as well. All right. So you got a lot of conditions on this relationship right off the bat, right? It's a very conditional relationship. These things that you're discussing aren't love or anything like this. This is a long-term agreement. And both you seem very organized in your thoughts. You have finish lines here that are concrete. Anyway, last week or 2 weeks ago or two ago, he went fishing on a friend's boat for the first time over 2 years. After asking me what I thought about getting a boat, I stated we didn't need one, which we don't. Well, he snuck around and bought a boat a week later, and I'm livid over it. He knew I'd be upset, but I thought it was she just doesn't want me to have a boat. Reason wasn't that it isn't true. All right. So bottom line is right now you've already separated what you spend money on. You've already done that, right? So the idea that oh he pays all the bills, the house is in his name, I have my own house. So does that mean that he can't make frivolous purchases that he finds important and fun? I mean, where does the line get drawn? You're also not married yet, so that hasn't been written either. The idea that you're upset about this, but you have separate funds doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Uh, just keep in mind the reason why people buy boats is because they go out, have a great time fishing, um, water sports, skiing, wakeboarding, whatever it is. They have a great day, a great time. And they go, wow, this would be fucking outstanding if I had my own boat. I could do all this on. So they associate the boat with good times, fun, and good feelings. What they don't think about is launching the boat, towing the boat, um, servicing the boat when they're only going to use it once a month sometimes. So a lot of times a boat is a bad purchase. Now there are some people out there that when they get a boat, they take care of it, they use it a lot, and they get a lot of joy out of it. And actually, if you look at it, if he's going to use this boat for fishing, it could make your relationship better because he has an outlet when you're fighting or when you guys need some time apart that actually isn't in a bar. It's not with some goony friends. He can do it alone. So this could be actually a good thing. Because there's guys out there I know that they really do use their fishing boats. And if they do, it's an outlet. So the idea that this is all bad, it depends on the person. And you're just looking at it like, well, I don't like boats and I don't like fishing. And I want to have kids and I want to have these other things. Your funds are still separate, right? No, the boat didn't come out of my money. No, he doesn't need my permission. No, it's not affordable. No, it's not affordable. So unaffordable. So right there, what's the problem? It's not about the boat itself or the money. I would have been fine with this purchase at a later date or after more discussion. It's the principle that he's quick to want to purchase expensive ass shit, but I'm still playing house with no ring on my finger, which for right now is fine, but without the blatant purchase of a boat. All right, so right there, you just get to the point where um, you're building up this resentment, right? You're building up stuff that you don't like, but really your problem is you don't have a ring on your finger yet. This would be a red flag if I was this guy because right now you're overreacting to this boat because you just said it's affordable for him. He used his own money and we're not married yet. What you're pissed about is you're still playing house with no ring on your finger. So what would change the game? Would you be less upset if you bought a boat and you had a ring on your finger and you had a longer discussion about it? We had a huge blow up fight over it. He doesn't see my point of view, and I don't feel like I'm giving it justice or even making sense because I'm so angry. We've discussed marriage at length, ring shopping, timelines at length, so it's not a topic we avoid. So here's the thing. You're pissed because you just spent a lot of money on a boat and you'd rather have it on a rock or a diamond, right? That's what you want. Unfortunately, I'm going to tell you straight up, this guy, if you keep this up, he'll walk away and you're gonna have to start all over again and say you wasted your time and all this stuff because you're overreacting to this. Initially, you could be upset. Initially, you could say it's a bad purchase. Initially, you could say all these things. The boat's already bought, but my question is he gonna use it? The idea that you've mentioned more than once, I'm not married yet, I don't have a ring yet, that's just telling me what your real issue is. And so what you're doing is you're infusing the boat issue with, "Oh my god, I can't believe you didn't talk to me first," instead of saying, uh, "Well, let me unpack this now that you've bought it. Are you gonna actually use it? Could this be something that we can go out together on?" That's just a bigger issue of the small ones. Coming from a townhouse with no garage, I was excited to have a garage, to have an area to do new hobbies in, or maybe work out in at some point. Okay, but you still said it's his house. So this idea that the garage is now gonna be used for the boat, here's the thing, maybe there's an alternative. Maybe you can cover the boat and put it in a backyard. Maybe you can find a storage unit. He knows this. Well, now that he's put the boat in the garage, it's filled to the brim with majority of his stuff. He pays for the house, right? Half the garage is now inaccessible. I never wanted a full ass garage, and we're only a month into the house. I now have to look at this huge item that I see as a slap in the face, and I'm angry all over again. Don't get married then. I'm so angry and frankly hurt because I don't feel like my thoughts, feelings, or desires were taken into account. In this particular case, in the boat situation, yes, you're right. Let's be honest though, if you got married, you got the rock on your finger, you were able to use the garage for your crafts and hobbies, you'd still have moments where you don't think your thoughts, feelings, and desires were taken into account, right? His thought process is that if he's purchasing it with his money and it's not affecting how we live, why should I care? He makes a good point. You're not married yet, with no room for feelings or emotions in between. I mean, this is why you discuss big purchases with your partner, right? Well, I absolutely agree that you discuss big purchases with your partner. But if you're already saying, like, oh, my townhouse is mine, his house is his, you've already drawn a line in the sand that in this particular relationship that you keep finances separate and purchases separate. So now you're making a special consideration for something you really don't like and you're blowing it up. Now, here's the good news about a boat, it can be sold, maybe even at a loss. So let's say in a year you let this run its course and maybe he's not using the boat, or maybe it's taking up too much room in the garage, or maybe you have kids and the ring gets on that finger. Things change, he can sell the boat that quick, right? But you're looking at it like, oh, this is such a slap in the face. I can't believe this. But really, when you mention more than once that you don't have the ring on your finger or you haven't been married, that's the real problem. You're in a rush, and you're even saying, like, "I'm playing house here, and I don't even have a ring on my finger." So what you're saying is, "I moved in with you with an intention to get married. I just don't understand why you had to have a boat now and not after discussing the deeper reason I'd be upset over the purchase and the garage space. Had we had more discussion around it and understanding that it could have been something we could have enjoyed, instead, I just see it as a big ass boat of resentment on my end and strong hate. I'm still fuming mad. I'd like to know if I'm overreacting and if requesting he put it in storage is unreasonable." Requesting is always an option. Putting it in storage, I already mentioned that. So now you're thinking of an alternative thing. I mean, can you get over this? If you can't get over this and you're going to hold it against them, and this is what you have resentment, don't get married anytime soon. He's a good man overall. Don't overgeneralize. So this is just one of those things. I mean, how many times have people had where their partner purchases something that they don't find value in? Let's just base it on that. Because there's plenty of things, friends, family, and partners, girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, and wives, they buy stuff and you go, "What the hell did you buy that for? Like, what were you thinking?" But the reality is they see some kind of value in it. Boats are a big one, right? He also could get a dock somewhere. Could you use it together? There's all kinds of possibilities here. Uh, the fact that you're tying this in with the fact that you're bitter that you're not married yet is a whole nother situation, right? Because I think this would be worse if you were married. All right, let's check out another one here. This is an interesting one. Let me pull this up. My husband named our daughter after his high school sweetheart. How can I cope with this in a way that does not ruin our marriage? Man, how could that? First of all, how do you know it's his high school sweetheart's name? That's a tough one. I'm interested to read this one. These are the kind of problems that come up that lead to breakups, that lead to resentment. I met my husband almost 10 years ago. He's from the Mediterranean, Europe. I won't specify it further for privacy reason. He was doing a master's program at the time, and I was doing my bachelor's at the same university. We started seeing each other shortly thereafter when I was about 24, to be honest. I don't remember exactly. We had a discussion about potential baby names because our relationship was clearly heading in a more serious direction. All right. We wanted to preempt any potential drama that might arise. He came up with the idea that if it was a girl, then he'd have full discretion over giving her a traditional name from his culture. And if it was a boy, that I'd have the same. At the time, I had no issues with this. To be fair, even now, I don't really do. We married when we married when we were 27 and 29 respectively, and because both of us were in a nice place professionally and financially, we stopped using protection. We did not immediately want to have children, but we figured it's easier to let nature do its thing than to have to resort to an expensive, stressful methods later. Not a bad idea. I got pregnant and I gave birth to our lovely daughter 3 months ago. I held up my end of the bargain, and she got the name my husband chose. Let's just say Anna. Last week, my sister-in-law, 29, was visiting us. She never really liked me, but since I've only seen her twice, this was the third time. I figured that's just the way she is. I have enough drama queens in my family, so I decided to put up with her backhanded compliments while she's there. Well, this is part of being married, right? You marry the family too. And so if they're close to their family, that's part of the marriage thing. On a best case scenario on marriage, hopefully you really get along with the family and you're a part of it. Anyway, she asked about the baby's name. When I told her, she just smirked and said, "Well, of course." I asked, what did she mean by that? And then she told me that my husband's high school girlfriend has the same name, and they have been together since they were 14 until my husband immigrated at 21, and that his parents really liked her and would have preferred her to me. Okay, so bottom line is you need to ask your husband if this is true, first and foremost. I had to go feed my baby, so it was left at that, but it kind of kept eating away at me. So later that day, I went through my husband's phone. He does not have a lot of friends on social media. It was not really difficult to find his ex-girlfriend on his contact list. Apparently, they have been chatting, not every day, but a few times a week. I speak his language a bit, but I can't read it. So I took screenshots and forwarded them to myself to translate with Google Translate later. Just to chime in here, your phone, your text, your emails in 2024 in the 21st century, I see this again and again. Partners, girlfriends, boyfriends, they look through your phone. So just be aware of that. Um, it's evidence-based, it's primary source. Be careful. Obviously, I could not do this with all the messages I just did the last few months. It was nothing out of the ordinary, no flirty stuff, some professional things, some general chit chat. Um, that I don't really understand, even with the translation. I know I'm acting and feeling irrationally. I actually think in this case, you're not being irrational. I mean, the sister mentioning that your newborn child was named after his high school sweetheart could light any wick, okay? Because I have no real reason to suspect any foul play on my husband's behalf, and I really have no reason to complain about him. I don't mind the name itself either. I actually think it's cute and my family likes it as well. So what I would say right off the bat, there's no right now, if you look at this, right? This is something you can get over. So when you look through his phone and you found out that he's, messaged his ex high school sweetheart from years ago, and you're saying they ended it at 21, you're now 28, 29, you're married, you have a kid. Okay. You like the name. This is something that you're going to have to ask him about, but also when you just did your little detective work, you didn't find anything serious there. So number one, first and foremost, they don't have any kind of serious relationship. They're not sexting. They're not sending each other nude pics. That's worst case scenario. So saying that right now you're upset, you're a little bit shocked, and the sister just threw you a little firecracker. Okay, this is something that you can work through, and you actually like the name. I sometimes still okay, but I'm afraid that I might throw this at my husband if we have an argument, admittedly. I sometimes still lash out due to my hormones being all over the place, even if I immediately regret it. And then if I can't handle it, it could potentially harm our marriage as well. I don't want him to know that I know. That's the problem because we've agreed to give each other enough space to have our own social circles, and also because I feel like I violated his trust by checking his phone. So how can I cope with all this in the most risk-averse way possible? This is a great question. It might not be clear. We live about 6,000 miles away from his home country. So I only met his family once, except for his sister who has visited him twice. So you got to get out in front of this. You don't need to put up a big stand Saturday or Sunday morning or when you have time and you both have a clear head. Okay, this is direct advice. You both have a clear head. What does that mean? It's like you didn't just get off of work for 9 hours. You didn't just run a marathon. You just got off of work. You have a day off. You're having breakfast and you say, hey, look, I want to talk to you about something. It's not that serious. Okay, because it isn't that serious. There's no cheating involved. Um, your sister mentioned to me that our daughter's named after your high school sweetheart. I kind of tried to let this go, but is it true? That's the first question. Let him answer the question. Well, actually, I had a cousin with the same name that I was very fond of. But yeah, my high school sweetheart has the same name, but I have another relative that's named that. Maybe he has a story for it. Maybe he has some other reason. Listen to him. Seek to understand, not to be understood. Ask good questions. Next, tell him I went through your phone and I feel really bad about it. I was feeling insecure about the name and I looked through your phone. I don't like to do that. I don't want to make it a habit. I won't make it a habit. And there's nothing in your phone that I found that was bad between your ex and you. I just want to tell you I did that. Have that conversation. And I don't think the husband might get upset. I can't believe you went through my phone. Da, da, da. But really, the smoke will clear because there's nothing there on his end to get defensive about. And also, he can just have a quick conversation. Yeah, that was my high school sweetheart. But I didn't intentionally name our daughter that just after her. Or maybe he tells you he did. But you need to get to the bottom of this because if you let this go, it's a seed that will grow big time, big time. All right, we got 4 on deck. If you wanna throw anything in the comments, you have any questions about your own relationship or situationship, go ahead and ask, and I'll get to it in a moment. These are real situations that come up. Well, here's a dandy. All right, let's pull this up. My boyfriend won't visit me after my car accident because his dog, what should I do? My boyfriend and I have been together for almost a year. I got in a car accident almost 2 weeks ago and I'm okay. Only a few broken ribs and a broken, doesn't say. Bottom line, few broken ribs is that's tough. That's painful. Recently, I've been asking my boyfriend to come visit me in the hospital since I don't have any family members near me and really need his support. He told me he won't be visiting since his dog needs constant attention since she's an old dog who can't see well but understands voices and still has her scent of smell. I asked him if he can leave her with his aunt for a few hours because the dog loves his aunt and she takes care of the dog well. Great solution. See, a lot of people would get upset, blame, but you came with an alternative. Good job. He's adamant about not leaving the dog alone and he doesn't want to bother his aunt over the accident. What should I do? Well, I mean, in this particular case, you got to consider the character of the individual. Okay. What's up, Rob IS, guardian of the gate? You got to consider the character of the individual. So what happens is you've been together a year. By the way, some people are extremely close to their dogs, right? So individually based from the outside, everyone's going, wow, this guy's going to choose his dog over her. And she's got broken ribs and she's in the hospital. It's highly unreasonable. Sure. He's also showing you who he is and what he puts first, right? The idea that maybe he just feels like, oh, you're not that bad and this, that, and the other. Has he visited you at all? Would be my question. The other idea to this is he a cold individual overall? Everyone might be saying, well, he's really caring about his dog. I mean, this is one of those things that um, you can work through, but is it a character issue where this guy just, his dog comes first? But this is pretty messed up. I don't know if he needs to sit with you for 3 hours. I would have more questions about this, like when are you getting out of the hospital and how long is this going to be? But as a boyfriend of 1 year, the idea of maybe leaving the dog with his aunt, I don't know if he has to do it for 3 hours, as you mentioned before, but a few hours because the dog loves his aunt. After reading the advice all you amazing people gave me, I decided to break up with him. We talked and I realized I wasn't, will never be his first priority. So I called things off. He called me selfish because I didn't think of the dog, but I don't care anymore. I called my parents and they will be taking me back home with them once I'm fully recovered. This was the right decision. I would like to thank you all. So you broke up over this. Okay. You were only together a year, right? I don't know if this is grounds to break up, but it's grounds to break up for you. That's enough. He's definitely making it a priority for his dog, but there's some people out there, their dogs are like their kids, but he could have what he did wrong was he could he could have left it with the aunt. That's the part that you didn't get. If he had an argument where it was like the dog has no other options, there's no other place you could take the dog, but that wasn't the case. Wow, this is interesting. I like these Reddit posts. This is interesting. So, let me pull this up. Let me know if you guys can actually read this as I go along. Would be the best one here. I think it's that one. Or you want the whole thing? So let's go through this. Is this better to see the whole thing? I know Rob's working right now. Let's take a look at this. What should I say to my ex's mom, who's 60, female? Of course, she's female. She's a mom who has asked to meet in person so I can explain why I broke up with her son. Wow. Let's see how big this is. Okay. For context, I broke up with my boyfriend of 6 years a few weeks ago. It was an amazing 6 years together. We were always happy and never had an issue. Okay, so why'd you break up? But I made a lot of sacrifices to keep us together. For instance, I paid thousands of dollars to get a visa and move to his country. I also turned down my dream job to get a job in his city. Okay, so there was a lot of sacrifices. All right. And over the past year, I started realizing that I haven't made any decisions for myself. I finally decided that I don't want to wake up one day regretting that I've lived my whole life for someone else. Okay, so this is a classic example of a relationship when someone's in their early to mid 20s. Okay, these are the things that come up a lot. And one of the biggest reasons this would not probably, if she was with someone and she was 31, 32, 33, and they were together 6 years, she probably wouldn't make this decision. But she's 25 and she's saying, wow, I want to live life. I want to let my hair out a little bit more. And I want to be a little bit, she's not saying it this way, but she's saying, I want to make decisions for myself. I want to be a little more selfish. Completely and utterly fine. And this is what happens in early to mid 20s. And why does that happen? Why? The reason this happens is because now a lot of people in their early to mid 20s in the 21st century in 2024, they don't think about getting married. They don't think about getting kids, having kids, adopting kids, whatever it is. They're looking at a longer part of their life of having fun or doing things for themselves. And you know what this is the result of? There's a lot of people that have divorced parents or multiple divorces. And so these people that are in their 20s are like, why get married? Right? Now, I'm not telling anyone to get married or not get married. It's up to you. It's a choice. It's an option. But this is a result. Oh, 6 years, we've been so great. So from 19 to 25, she's been with one person. She's probably not going to say this, but the other thing she's probably thinking, is this the last person I'm ever going to be with on earth? I doubt my ex gave as much of an explanation when he told his parents. So I'm sure they thought something must have happened to make me break up, which they must have thought because just this morning his mom messaged me. I was expecting something along the lines of, we are sorry to hear about the breakup, but we hope you know we will always be here for you. But I was very wrong. She started it with, as you can imagine, we are rather shell shocked after boyfriend broke the news that you've broken up with him. Doesn't seem too bad, but then she says her and my ex's dad will be in town seeing my ex, but they want to meet up on their way home. She says they want to hear my side of things and explain why I broke up with them. She then ends the message by saying not to tell my ex about it because she doesn't want him to think she's meddling in things. Okay, so let me just give my take on this really quick. You were together for 6 years and you said it was really good. So in this specific case, I bet the mom is wondering, like, what happened? Did I miss something? And let's just keep in mind that the mom's still married to her husband at 60. I think that because you said it's the ex's dad. So she's had a long marriage, quote, slash relationship. So to her, this is foreign. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because this is why she doesn't get it. There's an open loop here. There's a cliffhanger. If she knew that you left him for another guy or you got a new job, like she doesn't understand that you just want to make decisions for yourself. Now, here's the thing. You don't need to meet up with her. You don't need to explain yourself. But if you have respect for her, you care about her, and she was a good person in your life, I would give her that time. Because it doesn't sound like she's trying to talk you out of breaking up. She just wants to know, like, what happened? Where did this come from? Because what you're saying is 6 years of bliss. It was great. It was wonderful. I just want to do my own thing now. She doesn't get that. Do you need to meet up? Maybe not. Maybe you can talk on the phone. But if you think she was a good person to you, she just wants it sounds like she just wants some clarity on this. The minute she goes in and starts lecturing you, that's a different thing. I told a couple people about it, but they all think it's sweet and that I should do it. Like I said, this is different than there's a lot of cases out there where someone cheats, where someone threatens someone, where someone was a bad partner. It was a toxic relationship, and the parents get involved trying to get you back together. That's a no-no. In this particular situation, you're saying it was great. It was rose petals and wine glasses for years. And she just is wondering, like, what did I miss? Is my son telling me something different? But it just feels wrong to me. She's always been normal and really nice, but I feel really weird about the whole thing. Well, the reason you feel really weird is because um it's going to be hard for the mom to understand, right? Because the mom's 60, she's been in a long-term relationship. She doesn't understand why you're giving this up in lieu of your, making decisions for yourself. So you probably know subconsciously because you know her better than I do and everyone on Reddit that she's probably not going to just take your answer and be like, "Oh, I understand." First of all, my ex will be living with one of my friends next year, so they are basically asking me not to tell her either. Well, that's strange. Secondly, we are 25. She should not be asking me to basically defend my decision. I mean, come on. She should know as a woman how annoying it is to have our feelings believed. Why should I have to explain my side of the story? I don't think you need to explain, and you have a total right to say no. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not a jerk for saying no. I don't think you need to explain that. But what you want to do is consider maybe I can just have a phone conversation and just air it out really quick. But you don't have to do this. You're right. It's not an obligation. It's not a requirement. It's a choice. That being said, this is a 60-year-old woman that's been in your life for 6 years. Maybe not right in your life, but she's been good. She's been a nice person. Show some grace. And this, I rarely would say, "Oh yeah, talk to the parents after a breakup." In this particular case, I would just give her that a little bit of time. And if it gets off the rails or she starts accusing you, she gets emotional. Say, "Hey, look, maybe we can talk about this another time. I've already made my decision. It's not personal towards your son." You know what I mean? Because I think that this is going to bother you if you don't talk to her. Can't she just accept that whatever reason I have for breaking up with him is a valid reason, whether or not she knows it? Here's what I think, which means I don't know. I think what she's saying is, I want to hear your side of the story because I can't believe this happened. You guys were just so good together. I just want to hear, like, am I missing something? Did my son tell me everything? What she's doing is she's saying, like, I'm not getting this completely. If she was saying, "Hey, let me talk to you so you shouldn't throw this relationship together. You should get back together." She just wants clarity. She just wants some clarity, like, what happened? What would you do out there, the two or three people in the chat today? Okay, let's pull this one up. Let's pull this one up. I think it's easier like that. My sister-in-law is trying to alienate my fiance from me. What can I do? Well, if your sister-in-law has that power, this is a great question. If your fiance is that impressionable from a sister-in-law that doesn't like you, it's going to be a problem when you get married. So this is a huge red flag for you. And here's the thing, surprise, surprise, your 32-year-old sister-in-law and your 27-year-old fiance have free will. And the fact that your sister-in-law can put her under a trance and get her to do things that alienate her towards you, I wouldn't marry her then. And some people, their siblings or their parents, they're still an authority figure in their life, and it's a problem. And the reason it's a problem is it's not going to change. It's not going to change. We ended up moving in together after 2 years. He met my parents and my siblings, but he was really evasive when I wanted to meet his family. I knew that he was at least on talking terms with his sister, Lisa. Let me go back to this. I met my fiance, Mark. This is a fictional name on a professional conference 6 years ago. Things happened. Things happened, and we ended up moving in together after 2 years. Okay, so this is female, female. No problem. But you use the name Mark. He met my parents, my siblings, female, 29, 26, but he was really evasive when I wanted to meet with his family. I knew he was at least on talking terms with his sister because they talked every 1 or 2 weeks on the phone, but he neither wanted to talk to me about them nor did he want to introduce me. Some people are just private about their family. Don't read too much into that. We did not use protection for the last year, so I've gotten pregnant. After we found out, Mark asked to marry me. Okay, so you're getting married. Sorry, this isn't a female to female relationship. I just got confused. After we found out Mark asked to marry me. So you're getting married in lieu of the pregnancy. Not a problem with that. There's admiration. That's an admirable thing. Um, but it's different, right? The family knowing that, maybe the sister knowing that is not happy about it, which I agreed to on the condition that he'd introduce me to his family. He really did not like this idea, and now I see why, but he agreed to it. Okay, so this is going to be an issue, whether it's an issue when you get pregnant or when you get married. He doesn't like his family being introduced to you. I was really looking forward to it. And the reason why you were looking forward to it is because it sounds like you have a pretty good relationship with your parents and your family. So this is what humans do. They think, well, everyone else has a good relationship with their family. No, they don't. I met with his parents first, and they seemed nice enough. They congratulated me on being pregnant. Overall, it went without issues. The day after we met with Lisa, to start off, she refused to talk to me at all and always referred to me as it or that thing. You get the idea. And she berated both me for not coming from a wealthy background like them or being wealthy myself, and my fiance for marrying down and debasing himself by being around people like me when he could be dating people of his class or people who at least look good. We went home about 20 minutes into her rant. Okay, so all right, you're gonna need to make a choice here because this person's not going away. Um, it sounds like your fiance knows that she's a real piece of work, lightly stated. That being said, you have a choice here on how much you want to take. You let it go 20 minutes and that was it. This person sounds like they got a lot of issues with themselves. So what you want to just narrow down with your current fiance is how much of an influence does this sibling have on him? That's the question to ask. And that's the question to assess. Let's pull this up. Which is fair enough, but I really hoped he would at least come from me. About a week after that, my fiance has always been much more successful professionally and therefore financially than I was. So there was already a power imbalance. However, innocuous in our relationship. And from this mannerism, it was always clear that he had, let's say, better upbringing than I did. Regardless, I felt really humiliated about the whole ordeal. And my fiance just told me that I was the one that insisted on it, which is fair enough. But I really hoped he would at least comfort me. Well, this is the circumstances. And keep in mind, you're getting married because of the kid. Okay. The parents are on board, the sister's there. So the question is, how much does the sister have sway on him, and how much time do you have to actually spend with this crazy sister? About a week after that, my fiance started indirectly questioning me on things like where I've been or what I've been doing. I told him to just tell me directly what he is getting at. And he said that his sister told him that I'm cheating on him because I work less hours than him. And according to Lisa, who knows what I'm doing in that time, we had a big fight and Mark started to become increasingly distant to me, which obviously stressed me out. We've been sleeping in separate beds, and he's giving me the silent treatment, but I know that's mostly Lisa overloading him with her bullshit. Yeah, but at his age, if he's 34 years old, he needs to see through the bullshit. The idea that he's saying his sister told him that I'm cheating on him. Does he agree with that? Because this is gonna be a major problem if he allows his sister's whispers of evil to get into his ear. It's one thing to have a crazy relative that meddles in the relationship. It's a whole whole 'nother thing when the other person still listens to them. What can I do to try to salvage our relationship? I'm past the legal time limit for abortions. Not that I would go through that anyways. Well, anyone that would suggest that won't go there. I really won't. I really don't want to raise our child in a broken home. I thought of reaching out to his parents to talk some sense into him, but I could not find them on social media. I wouldn't talk to his parents. Okay, so what you want to do here is that number one, again, talk to him at a time when he's got his full bars of energy, meaning like, is it Saturday, Sunday morning, or a time when it's not right after work and he's stressed out, when he has a clear head, okay, when he has a day off, you have some breakfast, you had some coffee or whatever it is, and then you talk about this. The other thing you could do is get a therapist right now that hears both sides of the stories for this specific problem. So what's interesting about this, it's very specific. It's not about you two, it's about someone else getting into his ear. And so if you saw a couples therapist, that could be a referee. And what's good about this, you don't have 10,000 problems, you have one. Get out in front of this. It's not a time to break up. Don't get the parents involved because that's their daughter. They might be biased. That'd be my best suggestion to do. Otherwise, like I said, talk to him when he calms down. Because right now, he's defending his sister. He's defending that. He doesn't want to talk. Some guys do that. Some women do it. They shut down. They don't want to talk anymore. They don't want to argue. They don't want to fight. So just wait. Let them have their space. But if this carries on for 3, 4 days, then that's when you need to really have it. Hey, that's enough time to start talking again. All right. Let's check what time it is. All right. This has been really good today. Raw bias, it's always a pleasure. We had the great Sabina on deck for a little bit. Some people popped their head in and out of the door. That's good. That's fine. I'm going to leave the other stories for tomorrow. Everyone on deck, I do appreciate you. Take care. Have a good day. And it is curtains.